the story of the 500 euro budget build. This is the car. It's classic. So the car cost me 850 lei. That's the equivalent of, let's say, 180 euros, something like that. I will show it. And why was it so cheap? Well, first of all, it didn't have any paperwork because it was registered last in Italy, and the guy just sent over all the paperwork and the number plates and everything to Italy to delete it from the registration, whatever. So I didn't have anything on it except like a contract that we signed. And second of all, they thought that it has got a leak from the head gasket because it was mixing the oil and the coolant. I will show it to you that even now, after lots of flushes, it looks very goose over there. It's like oil, and pretty much all the coolant lines got a bit like soft from the oil being in them for a long time. And they thought that it's the head gasket, as usually it's a head gasket issue, but I know very well that on these engines the heads are pretty bulletproof, and if you don't touch them, it's the best way to go. So they have these turbo diesel engines a heat exchanger. It's located right over there, if you can see it. It's between the filter housing and the head, and it just the coolant just goes in, and the oil as well, and it just takes away some heat from the oil and dissipates it in the coolant system. And those tend to break over time, so I thought it would be a good thing to check it first before taking the head apart or something. And of course it was that. So I had one on the shelf and just bolted it on. It's not that simple actually, but let's just say I just bolted it and it's fine now. So all the two problems why the car was so cheap actually didn't really interest me. Yeah, I got home and started trying to edit the video, and I just realized that I haven't said anything about what's that car. It's a 1997, I guess, W202 chassis, Mercedes-Benz C-Class. It's the 110 kilowatt 2.5 liter 5-cylinder diesel engine, inline 5-cylinder of course, with a manual transmission and a non-facelift model. So that's, I think, everything you need to know about it. So what's the basic idea why I have chosen a Mercedes to build a drift car, and why I have chosen a Mercedes that's a diesel to build a drift car? Well, it's quite simple. Those are pre-chambered indirect injection diesel engines, and they are one of the best to make big power for very low money. So let's talk a bit about the mods in here. First of all, the bucket seats. They cost nothing, as I got them from a friend who had it in some sort of 4x4 like 10 years ago, and over the last 5 years they were outside. They were really dirty, and it's broken as well. I will show it to you that actually this lower part is hanging, so you can't really sit in it, but whatever, I will fix it. And the other one as well, it's not even fixed in the car right now. I have to make these brackets that I have made on the driver's side to bolt them in the car. So that was actually zero. the cost of it was zero. The steering wheel, I've got it for 150 lei, and I sold the old one for 100 lei, the original steering wheel of the car, so that's 50 lei. The boost gauge, that cost me 3 lei and 80 ban or something like that. It's actually made for acetylene, if I pronounced it correctly in English. It's for welding or cutting or whatever, and I modified it to make it be connectable, whatever, to some sort of boost linkage in the car. So that was really cheap as well. It was like, let's say, €2. The handbrake, I will have to check how much I spent on it, but I think it was 180 lei. It was like 20 lei the fittings on the nipples for the lines, and then the lines was like 30 lei. And it's connected to the car, to the brake system, like only in the rear. It goes over here down. I will show you in a second. So they go over here, they go down and bolt to the T that's located, I don't know if it's visible, over there. So actually it's connected in series with the main brake pump. So if I push the brake pedal, it actually pressurizes as well the handbrake. But if I pull the e-brake, then it will only pressurize the T that's in the rear of the car. So I could keep the ABS system and everything like that. I didn't have to bother unmounting all that stuff, because if I would have unmount all this and made all new lines everywhere, it would be a huge mess and a lot of money, and I didn't want to spend any money on it. So let me turn this off. So that was the e-brake. What else did I mod? The turbocharger, it cost me 500 lei including the transport. I got that deal on the Facebook marketplace. It was included the actuator for the geometry, and so that was 500 lei. One of these boards is 17 lei, that's 8 lei, and all the lines and some electric stuff, let's say 10 more lei. For the boost lines I had to modify this, but I took an original Mercedes part, so it cost nothing. And to bolt the turbocharger to the engine, I will take this off, as anyway it's useless. I used the original intake exhaust manifold. I just welded a piece of metal where the EGR is. The EGR takes the gases. And I have made this, I don't know if you can see it, this pipe over here that connects the original exhaust manifold to this turbocharger that I welded another flange on it. So this is how it works. It's the minimal amount of money possibly spent on such thing. And then this is the exhaust pipe, but it broke. Anyway, I will fix that later. And to connect the oil line, I used the original hard line until here, and I just made this part that connects to the turbocharger to be as short and as cheap as possible. That was 40 lei. I had to have a shop made it. The oil return, that's a piece of silicone hose, and that works just fine. I used the original fitting to the oil pan, and the fitting that I got from the BMW or whatever this came off from the turbocharger, so it only cost like 30 lei the hose. Oh, when it's going to be the next service? I think it has been done in 2006, so I think 2007 would have been a nice year to change its oil. Oh yeah, and I forgot one more thing. I had to change the brake pads on the rear because I installed the hydro brake and it pretty much didn't brake the car. So I thought that it's maybe because of the system that I thought, and it's not working properly, but no, it just didn't really even have something left on it. It was like metal on metal. So the disc is not in great shape either, but that's fine. It's a budget build. And yesterday I have bought this one, and this is maybe like on the W202 chassis. It has bigger rear brakes if it's a touring, but I'm not sure in that. I will have to check it. But if it's the case, I brought this car for 350 lei, and I will charge myself for the brakes maybe like 22.5 lei, let's say. Whatever. And this is all the tread left on some very bad winter tires. Let me show you the other side as well. From doing this. Yeah, this is how they will look like. It's growing hair. Antenna delete. Kits are available on our web store. Go check that out. What else have I done? I spent the most money actually on the pump, because as you might know, to build a car that's fast, diesel with this sort of Mercedes engine, OM 602, 603, 605 and 606, you will have to spend the most money on the engine's let's say heart. It's what's pumping the diesel fuel for it, and that's the most important part. So how could I manage to build a 500 euro race car with all the parts included using a mechanical injector pump? It's thanks to Diesel Mechen. If you don't know this guy, go fast on this site and buy a lot of stuff from him, because he has the best pumps ever, I think. That's my opinion, and I only used his elements in my builds and they worked perfectly. And let me show you what's the deal with the pump. Well, of course everyone wants the cheapest pump ever possible and whatever, but I wanted a mechanical injector pump because I don't have the skills, neither the budget to build an EDC pump. I would have gone like an every mod or something like that on this if Diesel Mecha didn't help me out with these elements. But he was nice enough, and I sent him an email, and he was a really nice guy, Eric. Thanks again. And he sent me with a huge price reduction some elements for this car. And I already have like 3 pumps even now, like mechanical injector pumps, just sitting on a shelf, so I took one. But I last purchased one for 400 lei. That's like 70-80 euros. I will include that exactly. So it's not very expensive if you search for a 5-cylinder engine. For the 6-cylinder engines over here, the prices are quite high already for these pumps, but I managed to find always these quite cheap, and so it cost me like 70 euros the elements with all the transport and everything, and like 70-80 euros the pump. And I have built it. I will include some footage of that too. I did it last winter. It was a long time ago already, and it works fine. Let me show you how. Oh, the original key. Oh, that's a bit of makeup. That's the key. Let's see if it starts. Hasn't been started for like a week at least, and I don't know if the battery is very strong or not, but let's see. Yeah, of course some lights, as I don't have an airbag. This is, I think, broken because it shows every time that. And EPC, I think it's related to the pump, as I don't have an electric pump anymore, but it works. So another thing that I forgot to mention, for all those people who are sending diesel mechan pumps that they already disassembled because they have tried to change the elements themselves, and they just realized that they don't have all the special sockets and all this knowledge and stuff like that to build it to run properly, to phase it and so on. So good people, don't do that. Just send your core and buy a pump and let it build by professionals. I did mine because power cheaply, but I don't recommend it. And I'm sure that the budget build would run much better if I would have sent the core to Sweden and I would have received a nicely rebuilt pump with lifetime warranty. So why wouldn't you do that? And one more thing, I don't know the code. What's the code for such thing? Maybe someone can help me? What's the code for it? And in the next episode I will show you how to change this part over here so that your Mercedes can be good as new. And I will also show you how to ignore such thing on your car, and maybe how to take down these because it's very annoying.